You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show, the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. We don't have any new callers today, but we've got Jared, the Uber driver. Jared, what you got going on?
Yes, Al Harris got an interview with the Packers. Debut for DC. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what type of scheme he would run. I don't even know. I just loved him as a corner growing up. My favorite number is 31, partially because of him. You know. And I saw a post or a comment saying that he should go in an interview saying, "I want this job and I'm going to score," or something like that. That I was like, "Ha, okay." But yeah, no, that's cool that they got him in there. And then another fun fact, I might have mentioned this before, but one of your second leading candidates, Christian Parker, I actually Ubered him while I lived in College Station.
Nice.
To a haircut before he was going to Green Bay. Like the day he was going to Green Bay to become the job that he got there, I drove him to his haircut. So, you know. And then the only other one that I have some sort of connection to is Matthew Golden, because I drove his tattoo artist. Small world.
Nice.
But yeah, that's all I got. Hope everyone's having a wonderful week. Can't wait to see what the DC search brings. Can't wait to see if there's any changes to offensive coordinator, special teams, because, you know, as I was just listening to Packernet After Dark, and, like, you know, technically we don't know what they see, but, you know, at the same time, like, if we could just get somebody there that can I don't want to say really help, because I'm sure they do a job, but, you know, it doesn't seem like they're the most helpful. And I think Bisaccia's maybe he's just getting too old. I don't want to say that, you know, obviously anybody can do anything to any age, but, like, I mean, Jerry Jones is looking a little too old too, you know. Anyways, that's all I got. Go back up.
I suppose that's the benefit of being a not just an Uber driver, but a sociable, an extroverted. Just say extroverted Uber driver. Because I would have had him in my car. I wouldn't have any idea that he was who he was, or anybody else for that matter. But it's very cool, very, very cool. And yeah, the age comment is something that a lot of people are going to scoff at. How dare you say something like that? Look, I think there's a reason why it's not just the players but the coaches where it becomes kind of a young man's game. It's always the young up-and-comers, right? With some exceptions, sure. But, you know, I think in a lot of ways this whole thing is kind of a young man's game. I mean, you look at the dedication that is required. It's difficult to do. And I think the older you get, the less you probably want to do it. You want to sleep under your desk, and then how well do you mentally perform when you're sleep deprived? I mean, it's young guy stuff, man. Can't handle stuff when you get older. And I don't just mean like 70. I mean, that starts when you turn 40.
Someone is at the front door.
I know. It just gets worse and worse as you go. So it's not to say it's impossible to do. It just gets harder to do. And I think motivation gets harder to cultivate. And you lean more and more on experience as opposed to, you know, effort and drive.
Oh, wait, one more thing. Zach Tom getting surgery on his patella or whatever. Do you think he should have just, I mean, I know it's like a shorter recovery time or whatever, but do you think he should have just already been doing that? Like, the moment we were knocked out of the playoffs, just bam. Like, I don't know. I know he's getting other opinions and whatever from other doctors, but, like, I don't I feel like that's a good enough reason to be like, yeah, okay, bye, getting surgery. Anyways, that's my question. Go Pack, go. Bye.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly what the timeline was or what the conversations were and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm certainly skeptical of the way that these things get handled just because of how they never seem to work out the way that you want. I mean, I don't know if the Packers are just unlucky or if they're mismanaged, but I don't know. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt when I don't know and just say that I will defer to them that they did the best possible thing, they being the team as well as Zach Tom in kind of pushing and trying to play, and that this ended up being the right situation to wait until after and get everything done. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yo, man, this is our list.
Yo.
Hey, I just listened to yesterday's Packernet After Dark to Chris from Alabama. Man, origin story, you are not lying. My man was heated. Man, if Chris from Alabama was a billionaire, I tell you, he'd don a mask and a cape and browse Twitter, find those fans and bring them to justice. Man, hey, I loved it. Hey, Chris from Alabama, I loved every minute of it. Every minute of it. Man, you just, I was debating if I was going to, do my taxes and get some work done tonight or just like sit down and just watch a TV show. But man, you know what? You gave me all the energy I need. I'm going to go be productive, man. Man, we need more calls like that, Chris. I don't want you to be all upset like that because I know it's probably not good for your health and, probably not good for those fans. But, no, man, that was great. That was motivating. I loved it, man. Man, I love Packernet, the Packernet family. This is great. All right, Ryan, I have anything else to say. Just wanted to give a shout out to Chris from Alabama.
Well, I noticed since the praising and everything yesterday, we did hear from Chris from Alabama, but not since all the praising of the call and everything. I haven't seen a call from Chris. It puts a lot of pressure on you. So he's got to get in the lab and figure out what the heck am I going to say now? How do I? Everyone's expecting so much of me now. No, we know that that's not normal, Chris, and I don't want to say hopefully we never have to see that again, but hopefully I don't know. I guess I don't know what we're hoping for here because I kind of want that again, but hopefully Chris is happy and will call in happy once in a while. Omar, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on? It's Omar the firefighter. How y'all doing? Just calling for a couple things. One, want to give my boy Beer Cheese a shout out. His rants, they're like if you took Jim Carrey the mask and mixed it together with like Deadpool, like the craziness. And I don't know if I should like egg him on more, be concerned, or say a prayer. I don't know which one. I might do all three, but they are entertaining. I'll give them that. Just wanted to let them know that. Also, give Chris from Alabama. I'm glad he's still talking. I remember last off season he kind of bounced for a little while in the off season, so it's nice to know he's still getting his calls in. Give him a shout out. Miss 1265 fan. I don't know where she's at. Maybe I missed one of her calls. I'm not sure, but go ahead and give us a call so we can hear your voice. Make sure you're doing good. Everybody else who's continuing on the show. Even shout out the Eagles fan. I forgot his name, but it's entertaining to have somebody that's not a Packers fan listen to the show because it's just that good of a show. It's like your own personal show. Appreciate what you do. Anyway, as far as my football question, I'm going to ask you this. One, I'm going to get on you because you skipped my center. You didn't talk about the center I was talking about towards ACL. We could get like in the third or fourth round. But that's all right. I will forgive you for that one. Maybe you'll do a rookies or draft preview episode. But I'll ask you this. What are, it's probably these people who end up not hiring, but who would be your top 5? I'm saying 5 to increase your chances of saying somebody who hired. Who are your top 5 defensive candidates that you would choose if you ran the Packers? Who would you like to be the defensive coordinator? 5 people. And one reason why each one. So, but anyway, all right, go Pack, go. Love all y'all, and I'll talk to y'all later.
I don't know if I even have 5 left on the list. It's not fully formed, but Jim Leonard is my top guy. My number 2 guy got hired away. There was kind of an interesting thing that I saw today, kind of doing some work for tomorrow's podcast. Do you know who had the second highest blitz rate in the NFL behind only Minnesota? Atlanta. Now, there's a decent chance that the reason for that is because they don't have any pass rushers, and they did that out of necessity. But I did find that kind of interesting, expecting Raheem Morris, which is why it's interesting, to be more of a passive type of defensive mind. Jeff Ulbrich is the defensive coordinator, but you assume Raheem Morris has a lot of impact on how the defense is structured. I don't know. I just found that kind of interesting. Made me kind of wonder in terms of what kind of defense he would bring here. But I don't know. I'm very torn after that, because look, the more I sit on this and think on this, I just think you need a strong defensive mind above all else. And that sounds obvious, but the reason I say that is because I think we get hung up on scheme too much, when I think all of us know that different schemes win. Some of us like to pretend that that's not true, and bend don't break defenses are always terrible and aggressive defenses are always good, which is not the case. But I think what you need is a really intelligent defensive mind that has the ability to do what works with what you have. Because that's ultimately what the NFL is. The NFL is not, a series of it's not like a playbook. Whoever has the best playbook wins, or the best scheme wins. It's on a player-to-player, opponent-to-opponent, play-to-play situation. The scheme in and of itself is almost useless. And I think part of the work that I've done for, again, tomorrow's podcast, if I can even think what the heck to even say necessarily, I did post an article, if you want, over on Patreon, kind of sparked some of my thoughts on this. It is free again, patreon.com/pack_daddy if you want to look into that. It just barely scratches the surface of stuff, but a lot of really interesting things. And again, every time you dig into something, the more you realize anything black and white, the more black and white you think about things, the more wrong you are. At the end of the day, it comes down to situational football. At the end of the day, we need a guy that can get in there and say, okay, here's the pieces we have. What's the best way in general to use them? Because again, even that is too simplistic of a way to think about it. Then it comes down to, how do we train these guys to get the result that we want? Then it comes down to, okay, how do we prepare for upcoming opponents? What does that process look like? And then it's, okay, here is our specific opponent. How do we prepare for this opponent? What is the game? Can somebody put a game plan together to understand that offense and how best to attack that offense? That's a critically important piece of the puzzle. And then on game day, it's employing a defense, not we're going to be aggressive, or we're going to be passive, or we're going to play zero, coverage shell, or too high coverage shell, or what, focusing on stupid coverage shells. It's based on the pieces that we have, what's the best general approach, but also on a play-to-play basis. When they're in this formation, what are we going to be doing? Looking at tendencies. okay, when we see this, what are we going to be looking to do? How do we utilize the pieces to attack those tendencies specifically? So the reason why this is so impossible to determine who's the best is because you really just want somebody that can do those things the best. And there might be slight benefits to which preference you have, because I think there are certain things that work better than others based on how most offenses tend to attack. But again, the reason why you'll find, aggressive defenses as well as passive defenses having wild success has to do with the players and the coach. Regardless of scheme, it's the players and the coach. So get good players and get a good coach that knows how to turn that specific style into something that's going to work. And so it's tough because it's like, okay, well, now what do you do? Well, you could look at the young, brilliant guys, like the guy that just got hired, but also a lot of that has to do with, not just intelligence, but experience. How do we, there's just there's also the coaching and training side of it. Who can handle that side of it best? Who can handle the getting guys ready? Who can handle the game planning? Who can handle the game calling? Those are kind of the components. And somebody has to have all of those components. Granted, you kind of hand off some of that, like the training and whatnot, to the guys underneath you. But it is a big question, and I don't want to get too hung up on, well, he runs a 3-4 and he runs a 4-3, or he runs aggressive and he's passive, or he's too high and he's cover one, or he, you know what I mean? Like, it's interesting, and it might be able to give you somewhat of an idea of what, and even that is kind of stupid, because every time we think we know what a defense is going to look like, it never looks like that. We thought we knew what Hafley's going to play: tight press man coverage, cover one, press man. We ran that almost never. You know why? Because Hafley's an intelligent guy whose main directive is to allow the other team to score as few points as possible, and do that with this specific group of people that you have been given. And that's what he did. And it didn't look like what we thought it was going to look like. You know why? Because that's stupid. That's not what good coaches do. So given that, I have such a lack of information on these guys to be able to determine that. I'm going to keep working on it as long as we don't have an answer to who our coach is. And I want to kind of expand the search out a little bit, because it's a very small pool right now of guys that are actually even getting interviews. And like I said, I'm pretty sure last year there was a small pool, and then all of a sudden Jeff Hafley got hired. Like, where did that come from? Like, I don't think he was even on the list. So I want to try to be at least a little bit prepared for that whole thing. Some college guy gets hired that from, Cincinnati or something. Some just random, like, what? Want to be somewhat prepared for that. But I know I didn't answer your question at all, other than to say I like Jim Leonard a lot. I think he checks all the boxes, from being intelligent, being a former player that has that experience and the ability to kind of communicate with guys in a way that they need to be communicated to. I think he has a ton of experience coaching under guys that have a massive pile of different, schemes and tendencies and all these different things. He coached in the pros. He coached in college. He coached as a position coach. He's been a defensive coordinator. And he adds the I'll call it brilliant. Maybe that's over understating it for some guys, but it's just a checkbox of, generally viewed as being hyper intelligent, fast rising, whatever. All these guys are going to be, intelligent to be able to be where they are. But there's a special category of the elite of the elite, I guess. So yeah, I didn't answer your question, but that's my answer to your question. I don't know. But all right, let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Last off season I looked at Caleb Williams because I was trying to understand were his sacks his fault or the offensive line, and I actually did look at every sack. And what I came away with is, yes, there were weeks where the line was in shambles, and yeah, a good amount were, but I think I forgot the number, but it was around 30-something sacks were specifically his fault. I think maybe the number was 35. And essentially what his tendencies are, he doesn't like to really step up and work into the pocket. He likes to hang into the back of the pocket and just be prepared to spin out. And I haven't looked at a lot of this stuff this year I'm just watching Packer games and just I have no interest in watching the Bears win. If they were losing, I'd be all into it. But yeah. I don't know, watch that. But it seems though he was doing a similar thing where he's hanging in the back of the pocket, waiting to spin out. And it's just it's really that extra second that he's getting from the line gives him that ability to actually do the spin out and it working. And it's kind of crazy to see the turnaround in a style of play because one off season they stabilized the offensive line with those three additions in Dahlman, Tooney, and Jackson. And Jackson had his best year. Tooney, is one of his been solid this whole time. And then Dahlman just a stabilizing force. You look at the grades; he's above average as he has been. But that was the Packers' Achilles heel this year. We all know it. Optimistic was we got this, and this. We have all this competition, and when dominoes all fell and the injuries fell, it just didn't work out our way. And Jordan even performed in spite of that. But if we could just do something kind of similar to where they just make that one stabilizing addition and then reshuffle everything. That could be the difference to us being great. Because I'm fine with Morgan at left tackle. Tom, get that knee right, bud. You're going to right tackle. If we can get some sort of stabilizing force on the interior, whether that's keeping Elton at center or getting and having a Linderbaum, sneaking through and us putting him at center and shifting.
Got cut off, and we're about to hit 3 minutes.
That's the difference.
Yeah, that's and he didn't call back. So, yeah, that is a good point. I mean, just from the standpoint of kind of looking at it from a different angle, I've been looking at mostly from a standpoint of stop the bleeding, right? It's so bad, we needed to stop it from being so bad. The other side of that is this could be a very good offensive line, and what could that possibly mean for our offense? If, we've run through it before, but let's just say Morgan is our left tackle and he can be serviceable. Let's say he can be what Rashid was 2 years ago. And I don't know what we do at left guard. Hopefully figure something else out. We'll see if Elton stays at center. I don't know. I don't want Sean Ryan there, so hopefully we figure something else out. Right guard, again, fingers crossed on Belton getting better. And right tackle, we have Zach Tom. Obviously, some improvements have to be made. And I don't know how much we can do in the offseason. I mean, in free agency. But whatever it takes between free agency and the draft, not that it has to be perfect and that every player has to be elite, because the Bears don't have that. But if you can get a couple of core solid guys, even just start with having two good tackles and a little bit of, better play on the interior, ideally one really good player and two not terrible players, that could transform a lot. For not just for Jordan, but for everybody. I mean, Jordan is benefited, but also the receivers are benefited because Jordan is benefited, and then the run game is benefited, and because the run game is benefited, Jordan is benefited, and so everybody else is benefited. It's just everything. It's why, they're always talking about the trenches so much. Everybody is. Although, John Eric Sullivan mentioned it. We're going to build it from the inside out. Everybody wants to do that. And he came from here. I'm sure Gutekunst is not like, yeah, that's why we let him go. We're so tired of him talking about trenches all the time. I'm assuming they saw what the situation was. They saw that they could not run the freaking ball and that their quarterback was under pressure a ton. And I have to assume that that is going to be a massive priority for this team because it wasn't that way just 2 years ago. So this is a first-time issue. And I'm hoping that Gutekunst and crew are going to look at that and say that is an unacceptable issue and we're going to get this freaking fixed.
Hey, Ryan, it's Nate calling in. Just had a question because I was opening my Spotify today just to check and see if there was a Packernet After Dark last night, which looks like there wasn't. So, and then I also remember you talking about how there's a bunch of calls getting dumped, and I think I have a call that's going to be dumped for the third time now. And I did have a question. Don't you do this full time now? I don't mean any disrespect, but isn't that like another 8 hours in your day? Just checking. Just want to know. So, is everything okay? Everything okay at home? Let me know. Go Pack Go.
Well, first of all, the call dumping has nothing to do with time unless I start doing 2 a day. It has to do with the fact that if I go backwards, we are now getting into old news. People are going to be talking about, should we fire Matt LaFleur? That's the cutoff point. That's why I said, if your call is still relevant, just call it back in, because I'm not going to go through and do all these different calls just to hear people talk about stuff that it's like, never mind, we're just going to leave that alone. Number 2, I think you severely underestimate how much podcast work was done at my other job while I was there doing that, which now just transfers to being at home doing it. But yes, I did miss one episode. I am so very sorry. It was late. It was probably 9:30, and I said it doesn't make a lot of sense to start Packernet After Dark right now. And that is not why 60 calls are not. I'm not going to go back and do those. So I guess I'll have to give the speech of calling in and having your call played is a privilege and not a right, and it is at my discretion whether your calls will ever get played, and I will skip whatever the hell I want, whenever the hell I want it. And that is as strong of an apology as you're going to get from me about your call getting skipped. In fact, I'm now just going to go through and erase all the calls I skipped because you have pissed me off, and I'm not even going to try to go back and replay those at any point since you want to be a smart ass about everything. Look at that. Now I'm caught up. How nice. We have 14 calls now. That takes a lot off my plate. Thanks, Nate. By the way, if you're somewhat curious as to why, all you have to do is record 2 podcasts. It takes, they're like 45 minutes. That's an hour and a half, whatever. Aside from all the research and everything else that goes into it and uploading and all that. Well, first of all, I spent, it's, $250 now. I spent the last couple hours inputting height, weight, hand size, arm length, wingspan for East-West Shrine guys before I finally decided I should probably take a break and get started on the podcast here before I end up getting late and missing another episode because I'm doing other stuff. In addition to that, I should probably buy the domain name just in case anyone decides to be a jag-off about it. Please hold. All right, I own it now. There will very soon be a packernetpodcast.com, and it is the most absurd and unnecessary thing on planet Earth, but I am having entirely too much fun with it. And I genuinely hope there are some of you out there that find it as entertaining as I do. Because I really don't want this to be a waste of my time. But anyways, I hope that to some degree answers your question. I will say, though, to be fair, I got to do a better job of, which I think I've done a decent job. I've been getting them out every day except one time, and Nate's in here talking crap. But I got to make sure to prioritize what's important, and that's the podcast. That's you, folks. It's especially you, Nate. You are now my priority. Take a break. We'll be right back.
Yo, Ryan, it's your Uncle Rico.
Yo.
Hey, I was just the other day when I was saying about I thought it was laughable. It looked to me like when I said that I know where LaFleur learned how to coach when the Rams had to burn the clock towards the end of the Bears game to seal the victory. They were ahead by a touchdown, and there was 2 minutes-ish left, whatever it was, and they ran the ball 3 times and didn't get a first down. And I just thought, well, that seems like something LaFleur would do at that point, which it burned me kind of. You got Devontae Adams, you got Puka Nacua, you got a good quarterback. You know, you want to steal the game, get a first down. Oh, we're trying to burn time off the clock. You know how to burn time off the clock? You get a first down. It was so frustrating. And so that's why I had that LaFleur comment. And LaFleur's back now, and I'm fine with that. I'm a Packer fan, and I'm on board with what the Packers do. You know, am I always 100% in agreement with what they do? No, but that's not the point. I'm not, you know, and people who, I mean, just frustrating. It was, 5 years ago this and 7 years ago that and this and that. Jesus H. Christ, move forward. This whole Darren Rizzi thing, which I knew from the get-go was a bunch of bullshit. Oh, the Packers got cheap. When have the Packers ever got cheap?
Yeah.
Did they get cheap when it was time to sign Jordan Love or anybody else? Did they get cheap when they brought in Micah Parsons?
That's what I mean by the whole like narrative thing. Like where we come up with these stories, and it's like, where is this coming from? The only thing I can think is it's Rizzi, and then the fact that they're not usually as active as some teams in free agency, which has nothing to do with being cheap. It's not a money thing. Like I've said before, everybody has the same salary cap, and everybody spends all the money. So nobody's cheap. Now, if you're talking coaches specifically, that's a little bit different. But again, what specifically are we talking about? And if it's coaches, I mean, why? Outside of Rizzi, what are we? Why do you think that? Why do we think that? Is it LaFleur? Are we cheap on our defensive coordinator coaches? Are we cheap on the coaches underneath? Like, if so, how? I mean, is DeMarcus Covington a cheap signing? I don't think so. Who is cheap? I mean, even our special teams coordinator is absolutely not cheap. Who is cheap, and why do you, what are we talking about? I don't know what we're talking about.
If you're also freaking crazy, just want to run with anything you hear. You get some moron reporting something about something just to get clicks, and everybody runs with it. And don't even think about anything. When is the last time the Packers got cheap? And yeah, it's just frustrating to me. And then talk about 100 years ago this happened. And then even if this Darren Rizzi thing, they would have brought him in. Like, automatically, we are these winners because we have Darren Rizzi. Like, he would have had this awesome special teams because he's Darren Rizzi. It didn't mean Shiite, even if it did mean Shiite. You just don't know, like, you know, like automatically this is a good thing. You know, maybe it was a good thing, but either way, you don't know the results of these decisions until 5 years later. Now we want to go back in time and bitch about it. Let's move forward. All right, then. Breakout out.
I agree. I don't know. And again, a lot of this stuff, I struggle with it too. I'm sure at times participating in it, hopefully not. Obviously try not to do that, but you get stuck in it. But also it's hard not to just start repeating things, you know? I mean, or just believing it. Because, you know, and every once in a while you stop and think, it's like, why do I believe? I don't know. I don't know where that came from. I don't know why I believe that. It's just what everybody believes. It's kind of like when people on social media or whatever, or anywhere, say things like, well, everybody knows. Okay, well, I don't think everybody does know. I don't know. Who knows? And how do they know? How do you know? Do you just know because everybody knows? What if everybody knows just because everybody knows? Then does anybody know? You know what I'm talking about? What are we talking about here? Exploding tree risk. I'm in the zone for risk of exploding trees because of the cold weather. It's when sap freezes and expands, stressing the bark until it splits with a loud crack. It's not a true explosion, but frost cracking. Huh. Okie dokie.
Hey, Pack Daddy, it's Garrett from Southern Illinois. I'm calling in to address something that you have discussed in one of your latest podcasts regarding the Bills and their drama. And I wanted to draw a correlation to this, see what you think, how that connects back to Green Bay. So I was able to go to a home game for U of I a few years back. It would have been, 4 years ago. And I saw U of I play Michigan State. And Keon Coleman was on Michigan State at that time. And this guy's huge. And this was when Illinois still had Witherspoon. Mm-hmm. And, man, Witherspoon could not tackle the dude. He could not stop him. He was just, the ball was thrown to him. There was nothing a defensive back could do to stop him. And Michigan State ended up upsetting U of I in that home game. And it just kind of makes me wonder about his marketability when it comes to, if I was him, I would not want to return back to the Buffalo Bills. And sure. I'm just wondering, I'm just throwing speculation out there, Ryan. I think you know where I'm getting ready to go with this.
Sure.
His teammate at Michigan State was,
Reed?
You guessed it, Jaden Reed.
Yeah.
So could Jaden kind of be putting up some, hey, come over here and play for us kind of thing and see what Goody can do to make a trade for this guy? Because he is a Alan Lazard body type, but way more physical. And like you said, he was only in his second year. He's got a lot of room to improve. And I know that he was playing, catching balls from a really talented quarterback. But you get someone like that to come in and play for the Packers while he still has 2 more years on his rookie deal. I would have put it past Goody to maybe pull something off like that. So we'll see. Because they're still players that he's probably willing to trade out. So just wondering what you think. Just throwing speculation out there, seeing what sticks to the wall. You know how things go. I'm out.
Well, it's kind of, first of all, this is the time for speculation. This is the time for the off season is all about this kind of stuff. I think the initial reaction would be, well, no, the Packers aren't looking for wide receivers, et cetera, et cetera. Let me defend your honor here for a moment, because I think you kind of at least talked me into it a touch. Wide receiver is obviously not our primary need or concern. However, number one, as you pointed out, this is not some high-priced prospect. This is a guy on a rookie deal. And it's a guy on a rookie deal that, a team is kind of getting rid of that hasn't really proven much. And so he's kind of a low-price, commodity. In addition, although you can look at it and say, well, our top 3 guys are going to be Golden and Reed and Watson, yeah. But behind that is Romeo, who is potentially gone, and Wicks, who is potentially gone. So even if we add this guy, we're still net -1. And then, as you said, he kind of fits the body type, the prototype of somebody the Packers and Gutekunst would absolutely be interested in as well. Not to mention, we don't really have that body type anymore. Golden is a smaller kind of route runner type, borderline slot receiver. Reed is a slot receiver, and Watson almost fits that, but he's more of a tall, long strider type than just your, borderline small tight end type of guy. So, I mean, obviously we're going to put it in the unlikely category, as in I would assume this is not going to happen, but sure. Yeah, heck yeah.
Hey, Ryan, it's Garrett from Southern Illinois.
What's up?
Well. I'm not going to tell you that I told you so.
Okay.
But I told you so. I told you so. Green Bay just interviewed Al Harris.
Oh, Al Harris. Yep.
You kind of just brushed me off a little bit the last time I called in talking about him and how he was successful at Dallas and how he's successful at Chicago and about the interceptions and how, that's not something you can just count on every season. But all I'm wanting is one season where Green Bay leads the league in interceptions and win a Super Bowl because of it. That would be great.
Had to throw that last little one in there. I was going to say, I think we were pretty close just a couple of years ago when McKinney had all those picks. But, add in the Super Bowl part, that gets significantly more difficult.
And if it was Al Harris doing it, even that much better. So I'm not saying he's the best candidate. Don't get me wrong. I would rather see him be the passing game coordinator for defense and Leonard be the defense coordinator. But, I just hope that they figure this out real soon. But I told you so. I told you so. So I'm not saying I was right. I'm just saying there's other people seeing this and recognizing that maybe there is something more to this. So it'd be great to steal him from Chicago because that, to me, just made me want to puke a little bit, seeing him on the sideline. Yeah. So we'll see. But, sometimes your listeners do have a valid point. So not a whole lot, but we do have valid points every once in a while, Ryan.
Just catching strays over here. I think you were actually the one I was referring to yesterday when I was talking about that exact thing where I was kind of downplaying it. And as I was looking at it, I was kind of like, oh, actually, that's pretty impressive. He has a long track record of that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I maybe I remember things incorrectly. I thought my thought on Al Harris was that I was a little surprised he wasn't getting defensive coordinator things. And the reason I didn't bring it up isn't because I didn't think he was qualified. It was just that I was going based off of who had interviewed him, and he had 0 interviews up to that point, which again, I'm pretty sure I had verbalized it. I don't know. My thought was that was actually a little surprising, but it is what it is. But obviously, yeah, I'm happy for him, and I hope he gets a job. I would think it's a little early, and part of the reason I'm saying that is, it's kind of a stupid thing to say as far as, I don't know how good he's going to be with stuff, but it just feels like when you look at what seemed to be the top and most in-demand candidates, and then how many jobs are available, I would be surprised if he ends up getting the job. Now, it's possible that he does. I think he just got his second interview. So it's entirely possible that he blows somebody so far away, even though that, again, he wasn't really the top candidate on anybody's list, and it took a while to get around to him. Maybe he blows him away with what he has to say, but that would be my guess. But the fact, whenever these guys start to get interviews, it feels like it's kind of just a matter of time. Now, that's not always the case. There's the Eric Bieniemy thing where it felt like it was just a matter of time, and it just never actually happened. He ended up getting demoted at one point down to running backs coach, back to OC, and maybe he'll piggyback from there up to head coach at some point, but I think there are other factors at play there. Generally speaking, it's just a matter of time. But I do hope he gets hired away, kind of like with Flores, if for no other reason than he's not in Chicago anymore. And, I'm, as I said, I think yesterday or whatever, I would definitely be, for different reasons than other guys, I could get behind almost anybody. But it would be very exciting to have him on our sideline for sure.
Hey, Ryan Beartooth, Benny here. I'm seeing reports now that, and I don't know how true this is, but apparently Malik Willis turned down 7 offers from 7 different teams. And so I don't know, does he just want to be a Green Bay Packer? And if so, that might be really good for us, because think about it like this, man. Imagine we sign him to like a 1-2 year deal or something like that. just something to have him as a backup. And, maybe he feels like he's not ready. Again, and I also didn't look much into this. This all could not be true at all, but imagine we sign him back, right? And the team gets so desperate, like, dude, we'll give you a first-round pick. And Goody's like, yes, you will, because we don't have one, so we need one. That would be awesome, dude. Like, I don't know if he probably wouldn't be worth the first one, but maybe he is. Maybe our team is stupid enough to do it. There are stupid teams out there. Look at the Michael Parsons trade. Pretty stupid. Thank you, Jerry. But I just wonder, man. Wonder what's going on with that. Let me know what you think.
Yeah, as far as that whole thing goes, hilariously, I just looked it up. I was joking about the Facebook thing. Sure enough, it is a thing circulating on Facebook right now. I will repeat what I've said. Do not get your news from Facebook. Just don't get your news from Facebook. They have a really bad habit of just putting completely random and fake things up. And that's what they are. They're completely random and fake. We're not even to that part of the off season yet. Malik is still currently a Green Bay Packer. He's still under contract with the Green Bay Packers, and teams are not allowed to reach out until the legal tampering period begins, which is, I think, the 9th, I think. So, no, that's definitely not a true report. With that said, we'll see what happens. We're not going to get compensation for him for the reasons I've already, laid out and whatnot. I don't know. It'll be. We'll get a comp pick for him, and that'll probably be about the end of it. I'll leave open the possibility that maybe he's massively undervalued by teams, and the Packers decide, quarterback's so important, we gotta keep him, which I obviously be happy about. But I just, of all the potential options that are out there, it's just very, very heavily in the direction of, he's going to leave, he's going to go somewhere else, he's going to get a decent paycheck, and as a result, we'll get a decent compensatory pick, and that'll be about the end of it. But, try to not be too black and white about anything, because crazy stuff can always happen, but that's, as I try to explore the other options, it just feels impossible that it could be really anything other than that.
Yo, Ryan, it's your Uncle Rico.
Yo.
Trying to catch up on my podcast listening, and some of the stuff is quite entertaining. Like this joker who he thinks it's a good idea that the coaches on a team been on like 5 different teams or 7 different. It's better if they've been on 29 different teams. Like there's such a freaking great coach that they've been in every team in the league. What the, how does that add up? How does that make sense? This guy can't keep a job. Oh, that's a great guy to hire. Let's get this guy. Or this guy is not satisfied with me. You know what I mean? It's just the dumbest thing I ever heard. There's like, why would you move ladder? If a coach is coaching wide receivers in one team, why would it be better if he coached wide receivers on more than one team? If you went from wide receivers to a higher level to a higher level to a higher level, that would make sense. But you know what I'm saying? It's just the stupidest thing I've ever heard. If you're been with one team for 10 years, you're probably pretty good at your job, or you would have got fired 8 years ago. And then he's it's frustrating. Like, dissing the Packers because they're like controlling LaFleur's budget. You don't think any team owner or higher ups control what the coach spends on? I want to hire this wide receivers coach or this defensive backs coach or whatever coach, and just go hire him. Pay him whatever you feel like. Here's the checkbook. How freaking stupid are you to think that there's no control on every team in the NFL on what assistant coaches make? It's not up to the freaking head coach who's doing the hiring of the assistant coaches isn't got an open checkbook. There are limits to these things. It's Justin Skater or whoever the hell he is has got to be the dumbest son of a bitch known to man. Get a life, buddy. Quit smoking so much dope. Rico out.
Who said what now? Yeah, again, everybody's got an answer for everything. I mean, along with making up stuff, everybody also knows who's responsible for it. You know what I mean? So not only do we know that the Packers are cheap, we know why they're cheap. They're cheap because of LaFleur. They're cheap because of Gutekunst. They're cheap because of policy or whatever. Like, it's just, you don't know either of those things. I mean, maybe, but if I'm willing to admit maybe, are you willing to admit you're making it up? Because I feel like that would be pretty good middle ground there.
Yo, Brian, it's your Uncle Rico. Dude, sorry. That punk fires me up. I can tell you why Rob Demovsky is bent out of shape about that. People are like, why is Rob so bent out of shape? Because Rob is a real serious person, journalist with a real serious journalist job, paying his dues and doing the hard work. And, you know, this
what's the
punk
point?
Sitting in front of a computer, smoking weed, doesn't know shit, causing problems. You know what I'm saying? That's why Rob's mad. Because Rob is a real person with a real job, and this punk is talking out of his ass. That's why.
Am I just forgetting who the person is we're talking about? I don't know. I forget. I did forget. I forgot who it was. That's how up on things I am. I remember that there was a person. I do remember that because I remember he called him out by name, and now I forget who it was, which is kind of funny. And that's fine. I don't need to know. But no, I think that probably is part of it. You know, you try to do all this work, and you realize that, you know, not that it's a good thing. But I've said it before. If you're pursuing like a journalism degree or something, don't. Well, what the hell's the point? Who cares? Nobody cares anymore. Nobody cares about your journalisming or your ability to do things kind of the right way or whatever. Anybody can say anything and get 10 times the traction that you get, or just as much. You know what I mean? I mean, he obviously gets a lot because he works at ESPN. It's not because of his journalism degree. But yeah, it's got to be very frustrating. You know, I have the sources, I have this, I have all these things, and I'm doing things the right way. And, you know, then you got other people who are kind of just, you know, not, and they're saying random things and making up stories, and everybody seems to want to believe that. Probably is frustrating. I mean, it could have been something else, too, that was kind of got them riled up, but I could see where that would be frustrating for sure. All right, why don't we leave it at that? I got to make sure I get the other podcast out in time. I don't want to get yelled at by Nate again. So I will talk to y'all tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.